Please skip to 52 minutes if you have watched the previous part 1. Jiang Wei was sleeping soundly in his bed, so his mom was telling him to wake up before he missed the school. And when he didn't wake up, his mom used water magic to wake the crap out of the little guy. Jiang Wei, still sleepy, ate his breakfast and went towards the school. In this world, there are 2 continents. One is the Liba continent, and another is the Tianwu continent. And Jiang Wei was in the Tianwu continent, which had 3 countries. Dali country was the biggest in size, covering 70% of the continent, was wealthy and rich in resources. Although it had the most strength, it wasn't interested in dominating the smaller countries of the Xiuda Kingdom and Aixia Kingdom. Xiuda Kingdom was called the Kingdom of the Knights, and his homeland Aixia Kingdom was called the Kingdom of Magic. Every citizen of the Aixia Kingdom receives elementary education about magic. And there are 3 types of magic education one could get from academies: elementary, intermediate, and advanced. The 3 kingdoms was united due to their mutual enemies, Beast Clan and the Demons. The Beast Clan can't practice magic, but they are gifted with overbearing physical strength and resistance to magic, whereas the Demons have purple eyes and can practice black magic. And to defend themselves from these demons and beasts, humankind built its greatest and toughest stronghold, the Stelon Fortress, after sacrificing millions of human warriors. And the wall brought peace to humans for the past 2 centuries. In Shen-Kei Basic Magic School, students chose the magic element they wanted to practice. However, Jiang Wei was questioned by the teacher as she said that if he chose the light element, then it would be extremely hard to progress any further due to the lack of teachers of light study. And the combat prowess of the light element is very bad, as it's only used by healers and the monks. However, she also said that the light element is only powerful against the dark magic used by the demons. And in this era of peace, it's almost useless to focus one's time on the light element. However, the innocent Jiang Wei didn't like violence, and thus still chose light magic. No choice. The teacher registered his choice. When Jiang Wei went back home, his parents asked if he chose wind magic like his daddy, or water magic like his mommy. But Jiang Wei denied it, and said that he chose light magic as his major, and space magic as his minor subject. When they asked him why he made such a stupid choice, the innocent Jiang Wei said that he didn't want to choose any of their element, as it would upset either of them. And he didn't also choose fire or earth, since it opposes their water element and earth element. Although the parents were not happy, they felt at peace with the decision of their son. The next day, the students were taken to their respective classes according to the element they chose. But Jiang Wei was sad, since there was no class for light elements. Then the teacher from yesterday came and told him to follow her, as she was going to take him to a light elemental teacher. She said that the school specially chose a teacher for him, since he was the only one that chose light elements in the past 10 years. So she brought him to a building and knocked on the door. Then the door opened on its own, and a man with white hair was studying as the books floated around. The white-haired teacher's aura was overbearing as he asked Jiang Wei's name. After that, he touched Jiang Wei's shoulder with his finger to test his potential. But Jiang Wei felt as though his shoulder was going to break. Jiang Wei lay on the ground as the teacher said that he needed to work 10 times harder if he didn't want to get killed by him. He then told him to come to his class early in the morning from the next day. When little Wei was at home, he regretted his decision to choose light elements. The next day in front of the class door, he was hesitating if he should enter the class or not. And just as he was about to leave, his teacher called him and said that he was late. So, Jiang Wei apologized and said that he woke up late. So his teacher told him that since he was sleepy, he needed to wake up. So, he should run 5 laps around the school field. But he hesitated. So teacher Xiu Shu summoned his beast as a light tiger came out. His teacher added that he should do as told if he didn't want to get eaten by the tiger. He was panting after completing some laps and was about to curse the teacher. But he remembered that he was so weak, so he sweet-talked him, saying how handsome teacher Xiu Shu was. But the sweet talk backfired him as the teacher gave him a thick-ass book and told him to memorize the entire book in a day. He also warned, grabbing his cheeky, that he would keep him with the light tiger if he failed to memorize it by tomorrow. At this time, little Wei felt as though he had fallen into the pits of hell and wanted to quit school. When he went back home early and was depressed, his mom asked why her little Wei was depressed. He then complained, saying he was given homework that he wouldn't be able to finish. His mom and dad then browsed through the book and said that Jiang Wei would definitely be able to finish it with their help. His dad said that he shouldn't focus on memorizing the book. Instead, he should try to understand the meaning first. Thus, little Wei was tutored by his parents, and he learned many things. So, little Wei was no longer frustrated as he enjoyed the contents of the book. The next day at Shenkei Elementary Magic School, Little Wei was asked about the contents of the book by Shiyu Shu. He kept answering them, and when Shiyu Shu asked how one cast advanced magic, Little Wei said that one needed to use incantation, which earned him a head smack. Shiyu Shu then told him that if one wanted to cast strong magic, then one needed enough spiritual power to back him up, and the best way to strengthen the spiritual power was through meditation. Thus, Little Winnie was told that he needed to meditate every day for the next 3 months, and he again reminded him that if he wanted to be his student, then he needed to work 10 times harder, but said that he would go to the capital of the kingdom and wouldn't be able to teach him for 3 months, which made Little Wei very happy. But he added that when he was away, he should spend 8 hours every day training in the school field. Then Little Wei was told to find the basic meditation books for reaching elementary magic, which was inside the library. So, Little Wei went to the library and browsed through the books and found a book that had a unique cover. So he opened the book and saw that it recorded the theory of meditating in any pose. Normally, one can only meditate by sitting down, but this book surprisingly told that he could meditate while lying down, seated, standing, and even when taking a shit. Thus, he followed the methods of the book and lay down on the floor. He then saw light elements with faint golden color. When more and more light elements gathered, he introduced himself to those light rays and asked if they could play with him. Then, he felt as though the light elements were gathering in his upper dantian. He felt that the upper dantian was becoming the medium to communicate with the light element. The light element made him very comfortable, making him feel sleepy. All of a sudden, he was woken up by his mom's voice as she told him that he had been sleeping in the school for the entire day. Thus, he was taken back to his house. In the house, he tested his gains from the school. He found out that after chanting only once, the light elements gathered beneath his palm and formed a light ball. But what made him a bit surprised was that he was not feeling exhausted at all, and felt that his recovery speed was higher than the magic exhaustion speed. Happy, he went back to sleep, thinking if his recovery speed of energy was faster than the exhaustion speed, that meant that he would be able to become stronger really fast. But he was still unaware of the potential of such a thing, and didn't know that he had obtained recognition from the light elements after befriending them. The light elements warmed his body just like a mother hugging her child. Eventually, 3 months passed, and when teacher Shiyu Shu came back, he saw Little Winnie sleeping on the ground. So he called him, which broke the peaceful sleep of Jiang Wei. Jiang Wei hugged his teacher and said that he missed him very much. Of course, he wanted to avoid punishment for sleeping. Thus, he sweet-talked him, but it didn't work as Shiyu Shu reprimanded him for sleeping in class instead of meditating. So Little Wei replied, saying he was tired from meditating. Thus, he went back to sleep. Shiyu Shu took out a blue crystal to test his progress and told Jiang Wei to put his hand on it. Jiang Wei did as he was told and asked if his magic power had increased. The teacher was silent, but inside, he determined that Little Wei was a prodigy in light elements. But he said that his magical power would be of no use if he didn't know how to utilize them properly. So Mr. Shiyu told him that he would be teaching him the light elemental shield and asked him to chant with him. Jiang Wei did as he was told, but was only half right. But Shiyu saw that his shield was bigger and more powerful than his, despite chanting wrongly. Thus he wanted to check if the shield was a real shield or just an illusion, so he used a water bomb to test the shield. And when it didn't work, he also used a flame spell. But that didn't work either. Mr. Shiyu Shu needed an entire year before he could master elementary magic, but Jiang Wei was able to use it only after 3 months. Thus, he believed that it had something to do with how Jiang Wei chanted, so he followed Jiang Wei's chanting. But despite that, the shield was way smaller, so he understood that the crux of the mystery was hidden within Little Winnie, not within his chant and moans. The following days, Little Winnie practiced his shield against the water bomb, wind magic, fire magic from teacher Shiyu Shu. After 10 long days, Mr. Shu told Little Wei that his shield training had ended and he would be taught spatial magic in the next days. Little Wei was happy since he could finally learn about spatial magic. Mr. Shu then explained more fundamentals of spatial magic. Spatial magic is separated into 2 categories, movement magic and attack magic. The distance of one's movement is dependent on the level of a magician, and the quality of the magic dictates the accuracy of the movements. Through incantation, one can teleport short distances to avoid attacks, and through long incantation and a high amount of magic, one can teleport long distances. He then showed Little Wei short-distance teleportation as Mr. Xiaoyu appeared behind Little Wei. Little Winnie was also told to chant the spell, and when he did so, he appeared outside in the water pool. In the following days, Little Wet practiced the spell diligently with the sole goal of escaping from his teacher when needed. His skills improved from 30 meters to 50 to 100. and after an entire year of practice, he managed to reach the limit of short-distance teleportation. He is now able to reach 500 meters in any direction with a high level of accuracy. The next day, his teacher brought him to the new training site and saw that the place was filled with big thick poles with ball sacks hanging at the top. Mr. Shu demonstrated his evading technique as he evaded the bouncing ball sacks. When the teacher asked little Winnie to do the same, he was afraid, for the ball sacks looked very heavy. On his first try, Winnie was hit by the balls and coughed out blood, but he didn't give up and kept dodging and getting hit. But he was tired and frustrated as meatballs grew on his head from being hit by the balls. But his teacher didn't give him any leeways whatsoever and said that he must train until dusk, and if he isn't diligent, then he would be forced to accompany his teacher at night. Little Wei cursed him, saying he should be struck with thunder. And just at that time, the thunder rumbled and the rain poured down. But his teacher said that he must train till dusk, even if it rains. Few years later, he was still playing with the balls and was able to evade all the balls. His teleportation ability also improved along with his shield by taking hits from the intermediate magic attack of thunderbolts from his teacher. Jiang Wei also became 9.5 years old and became as tall as an adult due to his constant training, and his short-range teleportation skill has surpassed his own teacher. He also learned skills like a light prism shield that defends against physical attacks, and a divine guard that protects him against poisonous gas and dark magic, and offensive magic like light arrows and healing magic like group recovery spells and spiritual healing techniques. And for the spatial element, he mastered dimensional slash for the offense. He was returning to his home after training just like every day. But all of a sudden, he saw a flaming lion demonic beast appearing in front of him. He dodged its attack while running away. Then he remembered that his teacher once told him that the most important thing to be a mage is to have courage. Thus, he stopped and made a difficult choice and faced the lion head-on. He attacked with light balls and used his light shield simultaneously to face any surprise attack, all the while using teleportation. But he was just a child who had just learned few spells and thus was hit by the paws of the beast, and just as he was about to be finished off by the beast, water magic came pouring down on the flame tiger as people from the surrounding came to help. And when Jiang Wei was in a coma, the light element automatically healed his body. The next day, he woke up in his room and felt that his wound had completely recovered. The fight yesterday was very useful to him, as it helped him face his fears of demonic beasts. The next day, his friend came and said that the final exam was coming, and wanted to practice combat skills with Jiang Wei. So they fought a duel, and the result was as expected. The guy was beaten back, as he asked Jiang Winnie how he dodged all his attacks. Jiang Wei said that he could bring him to the place where he learnt the evading techniques. Thus, Jiang Wei brought him to the ball sack array, where he was forced to practice for 2 months. And after 2 months, he improved a lot. And the final exam for graduating from elementary school was also approaching. Ao asked Jiang Wei which academy he would join after graduating. Jiang Wei told him that he wouldn't be able to join A-rank academies since his attack power was poor. However, if the test is defense-oriented, then he would definitely be a top student for the A-rank academy. Just as they were chatting about how they could get into A-class academy, Mr. Shu, who had gone away for 2 months, came back and said that he could help them train for the exam. He then said that he especially went to the capital of their Ixia kingdom to get an admission token of Royal Intermediate Magic Academy for Jiang Wei. He added that he is going to talk with his parents about this too. Back in home, his parents asked if a commoner's family like theirs could let Jiang Wei participate in the Royal Academy of the Nobles. They also said that even if Jiang Wei was admitted, the family wouldn't be able to afford the tuition fees of the academy. But his teacher said that he would be paying his fees. He also said that he had only become a great mage after practicing so hard. But Jiang Wei's potential would be able to shine at the top of the continent if nurtured carefully. Even reaching the rank of Grand Magister wouldn't be impossible for little Winnie. Jiang Wei, who was outside of the room, heard all these talks and finally knew how greatly his teacher valued him deep inside his heart. After a while, when his teacher got out, he told him that he would definitely get into the academy. The next day, Jiang Wei bade goodbye to his parents as he headed for the Royal Academy with his teacher. However, they didn't take any carriage and just walked from dawn to dusk. Finally, Jiang Wei asked how far it was and found out that they were still 1,000 kilometers away. So he begrudgingly asked, why can't they just use magic to reach there faster? So Mr. Shu said that he would be teaching Jiang Wei combat magic while heading for the capital. He found out that the spell he was going to learn were the Holy Bind spell and the Holy Severing Sword spell. Thus he practiced as usual on the way to the capital. And after God knows how long, they reached the capital and saw the striking academy of the Royal Intermediate Magic. They then visited the market, where they saw beast eggs and many kinds of weapons. Thus, Zhang Wei was fascinated and chose one egg and one magic wand. Mr. Xu got heartaches as those cost him 50 gold coins, the equivalent of half of his yearly income. The next day, they got up early and entered the academy, and saw many noble students eyeing him weirdly as they noticed his commoner stats. Then, an announcement sounded throughout the academy as it told all the examinees to be quiet and to line up for the exam. After an hour of lining up, 1503, Zhang Wei's number came up. Even the teachers were whispering about how a commoner like Zhang Wei was taking the test. Nonetheless, Zhang Wei was told to place his hand on the crystal to test his potential. And as soon as he did, it lit up with dazzling lights, which surprised the teachers as they told him that he had passed the first test. In the afternoon, all the examinees that passed the first test were brought to 10 examination sites, with each site having 5 examinees. Zhang Wei saw that most of the examinees were intermediate mages. When it was Little Wei's turn, he released and cast his light spells. The teacher was surprised by the omnidirectional defense magic from Zhang Wei, so they asked where he found such a spell. Zhang Wei told them that this shield spell was created by himself, and this omnidirectional shield could not only defend, but also reflect the attacks back. Thus, he was dubbed as a genius by the teachers at that test, and easily passed the test. When he finished the test, he saw Teacher Xu waiting for him outside, so he went over and passed the good news. But his teacher still told him that he shouldn't celebrate too early, as they still had a final test left. But inside, he was happy since his student was complimented even by the Royal Academy. The next day, Zhang Wei was called out by the proctors and told that he was the only light mage in the exam, and was asked if they could test the defensive ability of his self-created spell. Thus, he activated his divine guard and was attacked by the spells from the proctors. And after a while of dodging by using the movement techniques he had learned, he passed the test. Then one of the proctors asked if light magic was his major or space magic, as his space magic was just as good as his light magic. Embarrassed, Zhang Wei said that his most skilled ability was fleeing and evading. And just like that, he passed the final exam. And when walking outside of the academy, he met an orange-haired guy who looked depressed. Thus he asked if he didn't pass the test, but he told him that he did the opposite and did too well on the test, even though his teacher told him not to do too well on the test. So Zhang Wei said that even his teacher wasn't as abnormal as him. So he asked how well he did in the test for him to feel so bad. The guy replied, saying he broke the record and was faster by 4 seconds. After a while of chatting, they got to know each other. And the guy also introduced himself as Cider, fire magic as major, and wind as minor. Just like that, they became friends. The next day, the ranking of the exam came out, and Zhang Wei was the second while the first was someone called He Long Yang. Zhang Wei was happy since he wasn't the first, as it would make him an eyesore to the nobles. But his happiness didn't last long as a teacher announced that Hai Long Bang used some dishonest method to pass the test, and thus was dropped out of the 10th rank as punishment, which made Zhang Wei the first-ranking student for the freshmen. Little Winnie knew he was in deep shit. His friend Cider asked if he didn't pass seeing his fucked up looks. And when he found out Zhang Wei's ranking, he was surprised and congratulated him, which brought the attention of jealous nobles to Zhang Wei himself. Thus he had no choice but to flee from the spot. Even when fleeing, he could hear noble kids challenging him to duel. When he entered his dorm room, he complained to his teacher, but his teacher only praised him and said that he couldn't be a coward. Then he said that tomorrow the academy would hold a sparring event where the winner would get 50 points and the loser would get 30 points. The next day, Zhang Wei drew his lots and were unexpectedly matched against Cider. Zhang Wei was initially thinking of losing to him as he wanted to reduce his limelight, but remembering how Cider made him grab the attention of the noble kids, made him want to defeat Cider and take revenge. However, Ma Ke, aka Cider, didn't show up on the stage. He was hiding in the crowd, but under pressure from the speakers in the crowd, Ma Ke, or nicknamed Cider, was forced to go on the stage. Cider immediately begged for mercy for yesterday's event, but Zhang Wei told him that he would be forgiven if he took a beating. Thus, the fight began with 4 fireballs coming towards Zhang Wei. But Zhang Wei used his teleportation ability and slapped the chick out of Ma Ke. Thus, Ma Ke didn't hold back either, and used more powerful spells, and so did Zhang Wei as he summoned light blades. The judges praised the 2 students, and so the fire meteors and light blades clashed. Both parties were at their limit, and so was Zhang Wei, as his power was exhausted despite having higher recovery rate, and in the end, Ma Ke gave up, as Zhang Wei was the only one standing. And following that, Jiang Wei also fell to the ground in exhaustion. Jiang Wei was then picked up by Mr. Shu and brought to his dorm. When he woke up, his teacher said that he had already paid his tuition fees for this semester and would be leaving for Shuda Kingdom. Jiang Wei was sad hearing it. Then Mr. Shu gave him a coin pouch as his emergency money. Mr. Shu then asked him to take out the beast egg that he had brought that day. So Wei took it out as his teacher helped him hatch it. He followed the instruction given by his teacher and made a blood pact with the egg. And then a white snake came out. The teacher said that it was a growing type of magical beast that hadn't been seen in the last 100 years, and the potential of the growing type beast is limitless, as it would grow along with its master. He warned Jiang Wei to not let others know about this beast, since it's very rare, and would incur the jealousy of the nobles. Then Jiang Wei named it Xiao Jin, and fed it his own energy. The next day, he bade goodbye to his teacher, and then went to get himself registered for the class. But the teacher told him that due to his outstanding performance, he was placed in the second year of the class. The teacher also encouraged him to break the record of being the youngest advanced mage. Back in his room, he found out that his dorm room was empty. So he sat down and meditated, and all of a sudden, his new roommate, a second-year student, came and tried to challenge him. But he didn't get provoked, and said that he would recognize the guy as his senior. In the class, Jiang Wei and Ma Kei was introduced as the new students in the second-year class. After the class ended, his roommate came and told Jiang Wei to do his duties, which earned the anger of his friend Ma Kei. Thus Ma Kei showed him his powers, which made the bully afraid. So he used his father's name, who was the prime minister. But Ma Kei wasn't afraid. Then a guy came and said that they are not allowed to fight in campus. He introduced himself to Jiang Wei as the representative of the second-year students. Then he and Ma Kei went to the school library to read some magic books. That night he went to a deserted place to take a closer look at this beast. Then a man came out from the bushes as he said that Jiang Wei needed to use his heart to talk with the magical beast. Otherwise, it wouldn't understand what he says. Jiang Wei was scared, but the old man introduced himself as a light mage. Jiang Wei had no choice since Xiao Jin was already seen. So he did as the old man said and told Xiao Jin to release a light arrow spell. Fortunately, Xiao Jin was able to use the spell. So Jiang Wei thanked the man, who then asked Jiang Wei if he wanted to learn magic from him, but he rejected him and fled the area. The guy was stupefied since many people wanted to become his disciple, but he rejected them. But when he wanted someone to be his disciple, he was rejected instead. In the dorm, Jiang Wei meditated in his sleep as light energy danced around him. Even Xiao Jin began growing due to the presence of the pure light essence. The next day at breakfast time, Jiang Wei was eating bun after bun at the cafeteria like no tomorrow. Thus, they came late for their class, so the teacher told them to come at least 30 minutes earlier from the next days. After the class ended, the campus rumbled with a commotion as the guys were talking about a girl with gray hair. Even Ma Kei was fascinated. But Jiang Wei didn't give a shit, and went back to a deserted place to practice his magic. But after practicing for a while, Jiang Wei heard Ma Kei's voice. He looked battered and bruised. So Jiang Wei used his spirit restoration spell to heal Ma Kei, and asked what the heck happened. Ma Kei then described how he was trying to pick up the beauty, but was beaten silly by a guy beside her. He then said that in the future, Jiang Wei must heal him whenever he gets beaten again. Later, Ma Kei told Jiang Wei that the guy beside her was her older brother, who was the representative of the fourth-year students. The next day when Jiang Wei was sleeping in his class as usual, so the teacher noticed it and asked him about long-range teleportation. So the sleepy Joe woke up and explained everything in detail, which earned praise from the teacher. And as always, after class, Jiang Wei was checking up on his spirit beast, while the same old man was peeking at his activities. The more the old man watched, the more he was fascinated by Jiang Wei's talent. 3 months passed, and in that period, his skills improved. But Xiao Jin grew even faster, and was on par with level 4 magical beasts. The strangest thing was, Xiao Jin grew a small horn on his head. Meanwhile, Ma Kei was also trying his best to get stronger to impress his crush, since the girl's older brother told him to defeat him if he ever wanted to court his sister. It didn't take long for Jiang Wei to meet the brother of that girl. He then found out that his name was Hai Ri Xing. Just as Jiang Wei introduced himself, Hai Ri Xing asked if he was the one who always healed Ma Kei after being beaten by him. He then saw his friend Ma Kei again being brave enough to court the guy's sister. The guy became angry, and asked if Jiang Wei was strong enough to heal his own injuries too. But Jiang Wei said that he was weak and just a freshman and begged for mercy. However, the guy insisted, so Jiang Wei had no choice. When competing, Jiang Wei used his spatial magic to take out the staff that he had kept in his space storage. And the crazy guy also began his attacks with fireballs. but Zhang Wei easily dodged them and teleported behind him, and used his holy sword slash. So the guy became serious and used his best skills, and so did Zhang Wei. But Zhang Wei was calm and was trying to guide his light elements. But he understood that his divine guard wouldn't be able to completely block the attack. So he communicated with his element with even more closeness. Even the guy's sister was telling his brother to stop. Seeing no choice, Zhang Wei summoned Xiao Jin and told him to attack with his spiritual arrow. But then Hai Rixing also brought out his beast, which was at level 6. Thus Xiao Jin was beaten and stomped by the tiger. Then Hai Rixing told his beast to stop, but it didn't listen. Instead, it burned Xiao Jin into crisp. Amidst Zhang Wei's shock and horror, Hai Rixing said that his beast didn't listen to him. Zhang Wei then coughed out blood and passed out. Zhang Wei woke up at the infirmary and saw Hai Yuexing, who said that they were sorry, and due to Zhang Wei's beast being a growing type, it was killed by the ranked beast of her brother. They then gave him a box, and then Ma Kei told him that he would find a better beast for him. But Zhang Wei wasn't satisfied at all, and told everyone to leave him alone. He then opened the box where he saw the dead body of Xiao Jin. He tried to use his healing skills repeatedly to revive Xiao Jin. Then the older man's voice came as he told him that it was useless, and asked what would Zhang Wei do for him if he revived Xiao Jin. Zhang Wei believed him, and gave Xiao Jin to him. Then the old man checked on Xiao Jin. Zhang Wei asked if Xiao Jin could be revived or not. He replied, saying that would depend on Zhang Wei. He then added that Zhang Wei would need to give half of his life force to Xiao Jin to revive it, and after reviving, it would become a part of his own body. Thus, if it died, it might affect his own lifespan too. But Zhang still agreed to share his life force if it could revive Xiao Jin. The old man praised his decision and said that he would find a way to regain his life force in the future. Then the old man created a magic circle and told Zhang Wei to put Xiao Jin in it, and Zhang Wei complied and chanted some forbidden spells that the old man instructed him. He slowly felt that he and Xiao Jin became one being, and slowly, he became dizzy and went into slumber. When he woke up, he felt Xiao Jin's life force, meaning Xiao Jin was alive again. Zhang Wei then saw the old man who brought him his food. Zhang Wei thanked the old man for showing him the way to revive Xiao Jin. Little Wei then munched on the fish and found out that he had been sleeping for the entire week. He was curious about who the old man was, so he asked, and the man replied, saying his name was Lao Lan Di. Mr. Lao Lan then asked if Zhang Wei wanted to become his disciple, and Little Wei immediately accepted and said that he wanted to become even stronger. But the old man then told him that he must become a legendary Grand Magister to repay him. Little Wei immediately accepted it without understanding what a Grand Magister even is. The old man was satisfied and said that he would help Zhang Wei get a vacation from his academic classes, so that Zhang Wei could be personally taught by him. Then it was revealed that the old man Lao Lan was actually the dean of the academy and the honorary vice president of the Magisters' Union. Little Winnie was shocked, for his teacher was so powerful. After a month of rest, Zhang Wei finally recovered. In the first class conducted by the Dean Lao Lan, Zhang Wei complained, saying his magic power was unable to improve. Lao Lan then told him that a magician's energy needed to be condensed from gaseous to liquid, then to solid to get stronger. After explaining a bit more, he told Zhang Wei to use the same concept in his magical techniques and meditation. Then he left Zhang Wei to comprehend the rest by himself. After a while, Zhang Wei understood his teacher's words and tried to compress his energy into something denser, but it was harder said than done. And he began calling the light elements aunts and uncles as though they were his neighbors and requested them to gather closer. Of course, he was the only one communicating with the light elements that way. Finally, he was able to compress the elements in his energy storage. He felt a bit sleepy after that, so he went to sleep. When he woke up from his sleep, he found out that the extra spaces that were created after compressing had been filled up with energy with dense form. However, he didn't know how shocked his teacher was to see Zhang Wei condensing his energy in such a short amount of time. But Dean Lao Lan knew that such a thing was unheard of. Thus, he pinched Zhang Wei's chick, and Zhang Wei thought that he was being punished for sleeping in the middle of the class. His teacher then told him to look in the mirror, and Zhang Wei did as he was told, and felt as though he had become more handsome than before. His teacher then told him that this resulted from condensing his energy at an early age, and as far as he knew, Zhang Wei was the youngest person who reached this level at such an age. Zhang Wei then asked how long it would take to condense all his energy and found out that it would take around a month. So Dean gave him the homework of completing his condensation within a month and left. Thus, from that day on, he meditated day and night with the meditation technique that let him meditate even when shitting. After almost a month, his light spirits had completely been compressed into a solid form, and after that, he tried to absorb more light elements. but he was unable to do so. Then Xiaojin woke up from his deep sleep and began to absorb the light elements in his body, making extra space for new light energies. Then he was able to compress the new energies into a solid golden ball. He happily told his teacher the good news, but his teacher told him that he wasn't even a true mage yet, and explained to him that the color of the orb for all light mages is golden, and they need to turn their golden orb into a transparent golden orb. Later, the dean added that he only had one golden orb, whereas a Grand Magus had 6 transparent golden orbs, and Jiang Wei's goal should be to have 6 transparent golden orbs. Before the dean left, he told Jiang Wei to prepare for the competition in 7 days. When Jiang Wei was alone, he summoned Xiaojin. What came out was a white snake with 2 golden horns and a body way bigger than Jiang Wei himself. The next day, his teacher began teaching him advanced magic techniques. He then demonstrated a stone being cut in half without any chant. He then explained that it was not advanced magic, but ordinary magic. But his proficiency in that magic reached an extremely high level, which enabled him to cut the stones in half. Just like that, a week passed, and the day of the competition neared, and he found out that the top 100 students would get vacations to enjoy. The first place and the second place could directly enter the Advanced Royal Academy after graduation, and the champion would also get 100 diamond coins. And if a student challenges the champions of the higher year grade, then they would get double the rewards. Jiang Wei's goal was to defeat Hai Shiring this time and win the championship. And thus, he didn't waste any time and tried his best to make use of his time. Then he heard his teacher calling him through telepathy, so he went outside, where Dean Laolan gave him a new pair of clothes. He said that the magic robe was passed down from his own master, but Jiang Wei saw that the robe was too big. But when he wore it, it fitted perfectly in his small body by automatically shrinking. Then he found out his group number in the competition. He would be competing in Group 11. In the first battle, he won against the Wind Mage opponent, and continued to win matches with a single attack. But then he met an abnormal guy that looked batshit crazy. Even his flames were crazy. Also, when the guy was unable to defeat him, he burned his lifespan to use level 7 magic. So Jiang Wei also got serious, and also used level 7 magic and defeated him easily. But he was later reprimanded by the dean for showing off his level 7 power so early in the competition. And sure enough, no students from second year challenged Jiang Wei after that battle. In the semi-final, Jiang Wei faced Ma Ke, and Jiang Wei was finally able to see how strong Ma Ke was. Later, he even revealed a very powerful weapon which was given by the vice dean, Ma Ke's teacher. The staff of Ma Ke could amplify Ma Ke's power. Jiang Wei was trying his best to withstand the attacks. At that time, Dean finally told Jiang Wei to quickly use his robe's ability. Jiang Wei complied as Ma Ke was forced out of the arena by a powerful light wave. Just like that, he defeated Ma Ke. The next day when he woke up, he heard a piece of unbelievable news as a girl from the lower class used some kind of water magic which made Ma Ke unable to move, and thus was defeated. Thus, Jiang Wei quickly went to see the dean to understand the situation, but the dean just said that Jiang Wei should just surrender tomorrow. Lan Lao then told him that the girl's name was Hai Shui Xing, youngest sister of Hai Ri Xing, and said that the Xing family, Ri family, and Yu family was the 3 oldest families in the Ixia kingdom, and the 3 families had legacy power which could be passed on to only one person from another, and the inheritance of Xing family is inherited by Hai Shui Xing, and the inheritor can use the magic 3 times a day, but it is enough for a competition. So Dean just told him to surrender, but not to surrender without a fight. The next day, Jiang Wei saw the girl that everyone was talking about. Jiang Wei immediately attacked after introducing himself. He used teleportation to get behind and attack. He then kept moving in mixed patterns. And after using many tricks on the little girl, little Winnie was able to penetrate the girl with his golden arrow, and blood came out. Then the girl's face became as red as a tomato in sudden anger. Then little Wei was able to feel the effects of the mysterious spell that Dean was talking about. She then used a water dragon technique as it rushed towards him, but he was paralyzed by the strange spell. But at this time, Xiaojin suddenly acted and released a golden beam of light. Dean Laolan then noticed that this skill that Jiang Wei used was similar to the skills of the dragon race. The dragon race is the most powerful race in the entire continent, and high-level dragons are more intelligent. So it is only possible to partner up with a dragon, but only if the dragon views the human as equal. The dragons were so rare that only 300 living dragons were roaming the continent, each having a lifespan of 1,000 years. And thus, little Wei was able to get out of his predicament after Xiaojin's help, which made the girl dumbfounded. Then Jiang Wei teleported behind her and made use of her distraction to push her out of the arena, and finally, Jiang Wei was able to win. Soon after, Jiang Wei went to sleep as he was exhausted after the thrilling fight. In his dreams, he saw that he was riding a white snake with a beard and legs. But his sleep didn't last long as he was woken up by his teacher. Dean then told him about the golden halo that helped him defend against Hai Shui. Jiang Wei was surprised when he found out that he used the power of the dragon race. So Dean asked if Jiang Wei had made contact with any dragons before he came to the academy. Jiang Wei denied, saying Xiao Jin was the only creature he contracted with. Thus, Jiang Wei summoned Xiao Jin and asked if Xiao Jin was actually a dragon. But Dean said that the dragons have 2 legs, claws, and paws, unlike smooth-ass Xiao Jin. Then Dean browsed through some books and took out a book that listed the features of dragons. In that book, it described a type of dragon that matched with Xiao Jin. It's called 5-Talon Golden Dragon and was the king of dragons. Its lifespan is around 20,000 years. But Jiang Wei was unhappy, since if Xiao Jin was really the Dragon King's heir, then it would take at least 3,000 years to even become an adult, and by that time, Jiang Wei would cease to exist in this world. Dean then said that Xiao Jin was growing way faster than a dragon would, and it can be attributed to Jiang Wei sharing his life force with the dragon. Jiang Wei was excited, but the Dean said that if the current Dragon King wanted his heir back, then he must give Xiao Jin back to it. After Dean left, Jiang Wei was thinking if he should visit his parents on vacation. Jiang Wei also found out that his teacher Shu was coming back to Ixia Kingdom. 2 days later, Jiang Wei was finally able to see his teacher Shu Wei, then asked about his own parents, since teacher Shu visited them before coming to the academy, and found out that they were doing well. Jiang Wei then headed towards his home along with his teacher. On the way, they were surrounded by some bandits who sought for money. Mr. Shu turned around and told Jiang Wei to deal with it. But Jiang Wei denied, so Xiu Yushu told him that he needed to fight real-life battles to harness experience. After beating them up, Jiang Wei and Mr. Xiu Yushu finally reached home. He hugged his mama after reaching home, as the family had a hearty meal that night. The vacation passed pretty quickly, and once again, Jiang Wei bade goodbye to his parents and returned to the academy. In a blink of an eye, 5 years passed. These 5 years were very crucial for Jiang Xing to build a magic foundation. That day, the dean called him to his room and said he didn't want Jiang Wei to go to the advanced academy. Dean then said he wouldn't be able to reach the top level of a Grand Magus by studying normally. And for thousands of years, no Grand Magus appeared on the continent. Many have tried many methods to break through, but none have succeeded. So Dean wanted Jiang Wei to first experience and travel the world before he joined the advanced academy. Jiang Wei was excited at the sudden chance to go out and explore, but Mr. Dean set 3 goals for him and told him to raise the power of his magical beast to Magister level. And second, he must exercise his physical strength. Then the most difficult goal, he said, was to find a legendary artifact called Holy Sword. He then added that the sword is his key to becoming a Grand Magus. Jiang Wei, excited, immediately accepted the goals and promised his teacher that he would fulfill it. He was then told that the dean would visit his parents in about a month to inform them about his adventure, and in the meantime, he must train. Then the dean told him that it should take 2 years, and that if he still didn't complete the tasks, then he must come back. The next day, Jiang Wei met Ma Ke and told him a bit about the adventure and asked him if he wanted to accompany him, but Ma Ke refused, saying his family would never allow it. A month later, Jiang Wei left the academy toward his home with his teacher Lao Lan. His teacher used wind magic that created a cloud as they flew toward his home. While flying, Jiang Wei asked if he could also learn flying skills. His teacher said that he would need to learn a first-class martial skill to fly. When the duo was home, Mr. Lan Lao explained everything to his parents carefully, so his parents agreed. They went to Jiang Wei's backyard, where teacher Lao Lan gave him 3 magic scrolls that could teleport him on a random location 50 kilometers away to escape from any danger. Then he gave him a booklet that would let him return to the school immediately if he was unable to complete any mission, and warned that he must be at his peak condition before he used this booklet, otherwise, deviation might occur. He also told him the approximate location of the legendary sword and gave him 1,000 diamond coins. Dean then pointed out the dagger that he got from Ma Ke, saying that the dagger was very powerful and sharp and should be enough for his strength. The next day, he bade goodbye to his family and his teacher and headed for the Xiuda Kingdom to find Mr. Wen, a good friend of the dean. After a while of traveling, he reached near Jining Lake, which was at the border at the Xiuda Kingdom. The lake water was very sweet and clear, so he rested there for a while. Suddenly, he saw a group of black-cloaked figures. Amidst the figures, he saw a female figure with purple hair and eyes, and the cloaked people were surrounding her as though protecting her. Then one of the figures called out to Jiang Wei for staring at them. They then told him to move since they were gonna rest there. But Jiang Wei pretended to be injured, and just as the woman was about to teach him a lesson, the pink-eyed woman stopped her. And when she spoke, it felt like a spring breeze to Jiang Wei's ears, so Jiang Wei didn't leave and slept there to listen to their conversations even more. So the pink-eyed woman ordered her lackeys to teach him a lesson. So they brandished their weapons and attacked him, but he used teleportation magic to evade. One of the girls then cursed the mage profession, so Jiang Wei was a bit angry and decided to teach the bitches a lesson. But his light elemental arrows were cut by the pink-haired women's martial chi, so he had no choice but to show his good skills. Everyone was sure now that Jiang Wei was a light mage, and were surprised as they haven't seen a light mage in their life. And the spell of Jiang Wei unexpectedly did much more damage than it was supposed to. Jiang Wei then saw the pink-haired woman healing everyone with pink orb, so he called her a sister and asked what kind of magic it was. However, the pink-haired woman then told her lackeys to silence him. Thus Jiang Wei had no choice but to go all out. He then saw a black fog growing by the minute outside of his holy barrier. He knew that if this goes on, then he would be trapped in the black fog. In desperation, he was able to summon the light elements even more and blasted his light energy toward the Karens. But the pink-haired girl produced a purple energy ball to save them, and when he was leaving, he saw the face of the pink-haired girl whose mask had been lost during the intense fight. At that time, he forgot to escape, thinking how such a beautiful girl could be in this world. However, the sweet face uttered spicy words as she asked her teacher to kill Jiang Wei. Then a figure with a crow mask came and asked who bothered her. The man then appraised Jiang Wei and said it was surprising to see a light mage since they were so few. But Jiang Wei said the information is wrong. There are countless light mages in the world, and he was just the weakest of them. The figure was perplexed and said they hadn't heard such a thing. But the pink beauty kept telling her teacher to kill Jiang Wei. Jiang Wei then understood the true identity of these people, as he saw dark magic being used. When Jiang Wei cast his light spell, his spell was consumed by the dark entity. Seeing that the opponent wasn't someone he could beat, he used his teleportation ability and left the spot. The crow guy was surprised seeing how Jiang Wei knew space magic to such an extent. Thus, the crow guy really considered if the intel of light mages being weakest nowadays was true. The crow guy warned the pink bitch, saying that their demon clan might be in danger since even a little brat was that powerful. And since Jiang Wei escaped, it's given that the news of the demon clan invading the humans would spread like wildfire, so they must stop their invasion plans for now. The princess agreed, and told them that they would be settling in the Axia kingdom for the time being to monitor the situation first. Jiang Wei, who was fleeing, swore that he would never marry a beautiful woman since all of them were fierce. After a while, he found a village, where he was told that a group of bandits had been recently causing problems at the border of the Shiuda kingdom, and mercenaries were being hired for exorbitant prices to defend against the bandits. So he was told to take a detour through Polima City. After a full meal, he went to a lake with very clear water to bathe, but he still saw the illusion of that pink bitch trying to kill him, and her face just wouldn't leave his mind. After bathing, he went in Polima City where he went to the mercenary union. There he saw many elves and dwarves too. So when Little Wei filled out a form and wrote his Grand Mage rank, the receptionist was shocked and asked if he had any certification. So he showed the women his certification from the Magic Association, where it was written that Jiang Wei was head of the class and was exempt from all the exams due to his rank of Grand Mage. She then told him that due to his status as a Grand Mage, he could directly become a C rank. So he asked the women if there was any task that needed one to go to Shiuda Kingdom. She rushed and browsed through the tasks. In the meantime, Jiang Wei saw the discovery of the Holy Sword was also a mission in the Mercenary Union, and the reward was 1 million diamond coins. Then he was recommended a guarding task where he needed to be with a business group to let them safely cross the border. Soon, other people also chimed in when Jiang Wei asked for companions. He found a group of 20 people that came from Shiuda Kingdom. Jiang Wei agreed but told them that they needed to prepare a carriage for him since he was a mage and physically weak, and he is not becoming a part of their team, but just working cooperatively. And lastly, he said that he wanted 10% of the rewards, but the night guy accepted it. Later, before leaving, he ate his full in a restaurant where he was given a meal for free in exchange for his autograph. Little did they know that the autograph of now a grand mage that they thought would only sell for a diamond coin would sell for millions of diamond coins in the future. Soon, Jiang Wei got to know the person they would be escorting. The client was a bit suspicious about little Winnie being a grand mage. Thus, Jiang Wei showed some of his powers, and just like that, his status in the group went up, and he was given the most luxurious carriage for his use. But his peace didn't last long as they encountered a big group of bandits. The The bandits asked for the leader of the group to come out, so Little Wei was pointed out for being a grand mage. Then the leader of the bandit group, a Sky Knight, also came. No choice. Little Wei made a bet with the leader, saying he won't be able to defeat him. Thus the leader accepted the bet, and said that the wager should be the goods in the carriage. Thus they faced off. And it was Little Winnie's first time battling a Heaven Knight. He kept dodging the blades and also attacked with spells that didn't need to chant, and they were evenly matched in close combat. Thus, the knight had no choice but to release his battle beast, a tiger, but he didn't attack with the tiger, but he fused with his battle beast, which became armor for his body. Seeing this, Zhang Wei felt that he had to use Xiao Jin again if he didn't want to lose. And so, he let out Xiao Jin, and was surprised by how big Xiao Jin became in such a short time. He grew legs and wings. The bandits were scared shitless and fled. Even the leader was gobsmacked and surrendered. So Xiao Jin was called back. Then, the group of merchants apologized for not believing in him. Then Zhang Wei left with the bandit leader to their hideout. On his way, he got to know that the bandit leader was called Zhan Hu. When Zhang Wei got in the bandit hideout, he saw elderly women and children playing around. The hideout was very spacious and was like a heaven on earth. He was invited in Zhan Hu's house where they chatted, and Zhang Wei got to know the story of how Zhan Hu became a bandit leader. Zhan Hu was once a genius knight in the Kyuta kingdom, and when he was just 20, he reached the rank of the Heavenly Knight. Later he joined the military and went up the ranks very fast. He then became a captain of one of the 3 dragon battalions of the army and also owned the strongest earth dragon among the 3 battalions. But his earth dragon died while trying to save him during a mission. Thus, he lost his position in the army and left the army eventually. When wandering aimlessly, he found this village where the villagers were active thieves, and just like that, he became a leader of the bandits. Thus, Zhang Wei made one more friend in his life. Later, when Zhang Wei was being shown around, he asked Zhan Hu about the knight techniques he used. Zhang Hu then told him that he uses dragon accession technique given by his father, who is the brother of the current emperor of the Xiuda kingdom. Then he got to know his real name. It was Jingyun Xiuda. Zhang Wei was surprised that he would meet a royal family member of the Xiuda kingdom, even before going there. He then asked if Zhang Wei wanted to learn it. Zhang Wei nodded and said it would help. Then Jingyun described the technique, which was divided into levels, and said that it gets difficult from the 4th level, and added that he was at the 7th level. And just like that, he was taught the technique by Zhan Hu. Every morning he would personally guide Zhang Wei and forbid Zhang Wei to use any magic in his physical exercise. He was trained in ways that no other mage would even dare to imagine. And in the afternoon, he would meditate on dragon accession techniques, and at night would practice his magic. He also trained creatively, and merged his knight aura and magic to make a very destructive power. He later told about his discoveries to Zhan Hu. Thus, Zhan Hu was curious, and also wanted to learn magic from Zhang Wei. Later, Zhang Wei taught Zhan Hu about light magic, and taught him how to gather the light elements. He preached the features of light elements for Zhan Hu to understand. Then when he was teaching Zhan Hu, he felt that the surrounding light elements were gathering at astonishing speed, and he saw that his golden orb, which was only half transparent, had become fully transparent. Even his teacher told him that it would take at least 4 to 5 years for him to make the golden orb fully transparent. He could only think that the light elements were happy that he taught someone else about the light elements, so they again acknowledged Zhang Wei. Thus Zhang Wei became the 11th magic scholar on the Tianwu continent. Outside, Zhan Hu was surprised by the changes in Zhang Wei's body, and told him how he became a magic scholar. Zhan Hu was happy to hear it. And just like that, 2 months passed in a blink of an eye. In that period, Zhang Wei had already reached level 3 of the dragon accession technique. And Zhan Hu also learned some of the basic light spells. Then the day of departure came, and Zhan Hu told him to check on his family on the Xiuda kingdom. Then they bade goodbye, and Zhang Wei again became a lone traveler. After he entered the Xiuda kingdom, he saw knights everywhere. And because Zhang Wei wore the uniform of knight kids, he had no problem getting in. And on the first day, he saw the Earth Dragon battalion that he had heard about. Thus he went to his destination, Royal Knights Academy, to find the Dean of Knight Academy his teacher told him about. He was then escorted to Dean's place after verifications. Outside from Dean's chamber, they heard the Dean's angry voice as he was teaching the students. After some angry shouts, they went in and saw the Dean. Zhang Wei then greeted the Dean, but the Dean said that his aptitude for learning knight technique was good, and offered to teach him knight technique. But Zhang Wei said that he might not manage to learn both knight and mage techniques. Then he handed over a letter. There he met the Dean's disciple, a half-elf. After that, they went to have lunch, and Zhang Wei ate his fill after eating craps for days on the road. Then the dean told him that his teacher told him to train under him for half a year. Jiang Wei wasn't scared and nodded. And from the conversation, he learned that his new teacher was a light knight, and his elf disciple, Dongri, was very good at archery and would be able to unleash his full potential if he could also learn magic arrows from Jiang Wei. Thus, he told Jiang Wei and Dongri to learn from each other. Starting from the second day, Dean Wen asked Jiang Wei to do physical training with Dongri. Push-ups, sit-ups, 5-kilometer runs without any magic became his daily routine. Jiang Wei also taught Dongri with the same method he used when teaching Zhan Hu, but Dongri learned it way faster than Zhan Hu. Dongri's archery skill was as good as Dean Wen mentioned. Within 800 meters, he was able to penetrate the wings of insects, and the evening was the happiest time for them since they were able to rest at that time. And just like that, a month passed. Then a blue-haired girl appeared, calling Dongri. Dongri also greeted the girl and addressed her as Hong Shui. Then Jiang Wei also introduced himself under the curious gaze of Hong Shui. Then he left Dongri and Hong Shui for a private chat and went to wander around the capital city. He then found out from the rumors that a martial competition would be held next month, where top 10 fighters would be able to join the Earth Dragon Battalion. But Jiang Wei, who had the future Dragon King as a battle beast, wasn't interested at all. But he might reconsider if Dongri joined. Back in the academy, Dean Wen asked about Dongri. So Jiang Wei innocently told him that he was with a girl called Hong Shui. Jiang Wei asked if the dean knew her. Dean nodded and said that once he took Dongri to a royal banquet, and there he met the girl Hong Shui, who is the niece of the current empress of the empire. Later that night, Jiang Wei and Dongri talked on the rooftop, and Jiang Wei found out that when Dongri was dating Hong Shui, a group of noble kids came and bullied him. So he beat them up, but it turned out that the kid was from a high-ranking noble family. The next day, the Duke father of that noble kid came seeking an explanation from the academy. He also blocked the gate of the academy with his men. So Jiang Wei appeared with Dongri and protested. The noble guy recognized them, so his men attacked him on his order. So Jiang Wei had no choice but to use his magic shield. And it turned out that the fat noble was not only fat, but also a strong light knight. But Jiang Wei didn't submit and was prepared to fight. And at that time, the dean of the Knight Academy came and quarreled with the noble duke. In the end, under Dean Wen's order, the senior students of the academy gathered in unison to defend against the duke and his army. Thus the duke fled, swearing to file a complaint to the king. And so Dongri and Jiang Wei waited for their dean to come back from the royal court. After Dean came back, they got to know that the king ordered both Duke Nymph and the academy to choose the best representatives to fight against in the kingdom's upcoming tournament. And the team that scores lower would have to apologize to the other team. Dean then said that every team in the tournament would consist of 5 members, and their academy was just an intermediate academy, so it would have lower-ranked members than everyone that was going to participate. They also learned a shocking truth, which was that the eldest son of the noble nymph, a formidable knight, was also going to participate. They also learned that the eldest son was the commander of one of the Earth Dragon battalions of the kingdom. The team knew that it would be very hard to win this match, and their chances were nil. But nevertheless, they weren't scared much. The following day, Jiang Wei taught Dongri magic arrow techniques. When they were training, the Dean Wen came and introduced their teammates that would be part of their 5-man team. The first one was Sean, who almost reached Sky Knight but didn't graduate as he wanted to learn more from the academy. And next to him was called Kim Gay, who was also on par with Sean. And the last one of the 3 was called Susmal, with the strength of a Sky Knight. After the introduction, Dean Wen left, and Dongri began fawning over Susmal. Then Jiang Wei proposed that their team needed a leader, so it would be best if the leader was chosen according to their strength. Everyone agreed, but only Susmal was prepared to be tested. So Jiang Wei showed off his prowess and teleportation techniques, and as such, Susmal accepted Jiang Wei as the team leader. Then Susmal proposed that their team should be named Team Halo, as it's based on light magic. Dean Wen came back with more info about the tournament. He said that there are over 10,000 teams participating, and each team would need to go through 10 rounds of battle, and the team with the most matches in 10 rounds would go to the next phase of the tournament. During the tournament, Jiang Wei defended against the water and fire magic with his light shield, and then the rest of the team counterattacked and won the first match. The next challenges were easy, and since there weren't many strong teams, Jiang Wei's Halo team barged into top 32. They also saw the Wind Dragon team led by the eldest son of Duke Nymph. 4 of the members of that team were Sky Knights, not to mention the eldest son didn't yet reveal his full strength. Then the Halo team met the King's team, where he met Zhang Hu's big brother. So he revealed his identity, which surprised Zhang Hu's brother. But Zhang Wei said that they would talk after the match. And just like that, the trash talking ended as the match began and the light aura and blood red aura clashed. Zhang Wei was the only one left standing in his team after that clash, as the rest of the members were injured. So Zhang Wei took out his staff, and the opponent also attacked with divine fighting chi, and was forced to summon their companion beast to merge with it. Dong Ri wanted to use his trump card to defeat the opponent, but Zhang Wei said that they needed to save that trump card for the next battle. So he summoned Xiao Jin, and Xiao Jin immediately pinched the eagle beast to death. Later, Zhang Wei woke up in a bed, as he was previously exhausted and fainted in the arena. Dean Wen came to congratulate him, and said that even if they don't win the championship, it would be fine, as they had already won the hearts of many youths in this tournament. In the next match, they met an even stronger opponent. But Dong Ri used his trump card and disabled all the members of the opponent except the leader. But the leader turned out to be very strong, so Dong Ri and Su Smal faced him while Zhang Wei prepared for a spell. Zhang Wei wasn't able to recover his magic with just a night's sleep, and only had 70% of the magic left before the start of the battle. The opponent then used some thunder technique that broke his sword, but also pushed back Dong Ri and Su Smal. Thus, Zhang Wei was furious and wanted to ignite his life force, but he was knocked down by the Dean Wen as he was taken to the infirmary. As such, it became the only match that they had lost as of then. When he woke up, he heard that the Shiuda Emperor had heard about their excellent fight and admitted him to the medical facilities of the royal palace. After a while, Zhang Wei felt hungry, so he was served delicious food cooked by the royal chefs. Dean Wen then told them another good news, which was that the king wanted to meet them, so after the team completely recovered, they went to visit the royal hall and met the king. The king admired the team, and just like that, the visit ended, and the team returned to their academy. And just like that, 3 months passed, and it was time for Zhang Wei to leave. Although he didn't wish to leave, he had a mission to complete. Later, he met the prince of the Shuda kingdom, who was also Zhang Hu's big brother. They talked about Zhang Hu, and Zhang Wei told him to give him 1 year, and he would bring Zhang Hu within a year. Zhang Hu's brother then gave him an Earth Dragon batch, which would help him around the kingdom if any difficulty arose. After that, he came back to the academy and prepared to go on the adventure together with his team. The team then prepared for the journey and left the academy and went to the bandit hideout of Zhang Hu. After meeting Zhang Hu, Zhang Wei's team got another new member, and they went to the Longjiang forest that Dean Landau talked about to find the Holy Sword. There, the team met an old elf who mocked Dong Ri for being a half-elf and asked why he brought so many humans to the Forest of the Elves. So the team got angry and fought against the old elf. After a little fight, the old man got to know that they went there for the Holy Sword, so he reprimanded them, saying more than 10,000 men and women had looked for the sword and none had been successful. He then said with a cheeky smile that he knew where the sword was, but added that they would have to help the elves defeat the Dark Elves. Then they got to know about the enmity between the natural elves and the Dark Elves, and said that recently the Dark Elves became more powerful than the natural elves, and might go extinct sooner. At the same time, somewhere else in the forest, a Dark Elf was bullying a Light Elf, who was fighting with a big golden sword. And the team Zhang Wei came to the place too, and found out that the Dark Elf was none other than the King of the Dark Elves, and the Natural Elf was the King of the Natural Elves. Thus, Zhang Wei used his Light spell, which healed and boosted the Natural Elves, and negated the abilities of the Dark Elves. Then the Dark Elves fled, swearing that they would take their revenge one day. The old elf thanked him, and again shamelessly asked for another favor, which was to heal their natural elf king, who had been poisoned by dark elements of the Dark Elves. So Zhang Wei used his light power to heal the elf king. Under the shocking gaze of the old man, he was really able to dismiss the darkness brewing within the natural elf king. After the elf king recovered, he thanked Zhang Wei, so Zhang Wei asked if the king could help find them the holy sword. The king then said that the sword is hidden in the divine forest, which was only known by the upper echelon of their natural elves. So Zhang Wei found out about the location of the divine forest and gave the king an inscription book written by himself that would help the elves defend against the dark elves. After that, the team left and traveled day and night to reach the location. They rested in front of the barrier and meditated to recover their chi. When meditating, Zhang Wei heard a voice of the spirit that told him that they would be given 3 trials, which they would need to survive to get the divine sword. Zhang Wei then told about the voice to the other members of the team and said that he had found a way to open the barrier. So the team discussed the plan to get through the 3 trials and open the barrier. Thus was greeted by many golems. Zhang Wei fought alongside everyone and also summoned Xiao Jin. The group was injured in the first battle, but they didn't give up. Zhang Wei summoned his light elements and defeated one of the golems, but there were still golems left. So Zhang Wei took everyone to ride Xiao Jin to fly away from the golem. After escaping from the golems, the group went to a safe area and rested. Zhang Wei then told everyone to leave as he didn't want to endanger everyone just for his own mission. 3 days later, Zhang Wei saw a magic circle and a book beside it. So he read the book and understood all its content, and was able to activate the magic circle. It turned out that it was a teleportation circle, so it teleported everyone into some underground place. They then arrived at a palace that was very spacious. In that place, Zhang Wei heard another voice that said that it was the king of gods of their world. It also told him a story about 2 ancient clans of the divine and the monsters. The monsters were evil and had chaotic natures, so the divine tried to resist them, and in the process, the divines were eliminated. However, with the help of a few divines, the Monster King has been sealed away, and in the process, the speaker of the voice was also injured, and hadn't recovered his injury even after hundreds of thousands of years. But the Monster King had recovered some of his chi, which leaked on Earth, causing havoc on it. Then they were given a mission to locate that chi and eliminate it. He also told them they had enhanced their physique, so their talents increased, and they could become stronger faster. It didn't end there, as they were given many treasures. Zhang Hu was given the armor of Kratos, Sus Mal the horn of Zeus, Shan the hammer of Hercules, Ge the shield of Thor, Dongri bow of Zephyr, and Zhang Wei was given the sacred light sword that he originally came here for. But as soon as he touched it, it vanished. Zhang Wei was told that due to the sword being too powerful, it's hidden in his body, and he would be able to wield it once he was strong enough. So Zhang Wei asked how he would get stronger faster. So the voice said that at the west, where the border between humans and demons lay, was a valley called a Cracked Valley, inhabiting the remains of the Light God. And once he is recognized by the Light God, he can train under him to get stronger. They were also told that they have 5 years left before the Demon King, aka the Monster King, arrives. Then the rest of the team was told that they would be taught a forbidden spell, but Zhang Wei would only be able to learn it after becoming a Grand Magister. Zhang Wei was furious hearing it, so he was told that once he is recognized by the God of Light, he could step into the realm of the Grand Magister. So the god passed down the forbidden spell to the group before they left. After returning to the surface, the group bade each other goodbye, and Zhang Wei left for Exia Kingdom to visit his family. So after reaching there, he went to his home and visited his parents. He stayed there for a while, but he left since he had an urgent task to finish. Then he went back to his teacher and told him about the adventure that he had during this time. His teacher then admitted him to the advanced class where he can learn about magic even further. During that time, he met a purple-eyed woman who seemed a bit familiar to Zhang Wei. In the class, he met his friend Ma Kei. After the class, he asked Ma Kei about his crush Hairi Shuo, but Ma Kei was sad and said that she still treated him like dirt, not to mention she found a boyfriend. Zhang Wei that told him that he should take his sweet revenge. Then Ma Kei found out that Zhang Wei had surpassed him in magic cultivation, and just as they were chatting, they saw Hairi Shuo and her boyfriend Feng Liang. Hairi Shuo then introduced her boyfriend to him under the shade of Ma Kei. In the class after the break, Zhang Wei was talking with Ma Kei, so the teacher hit him with chalk, but he caught it. But the pink-haired girl mocked him, saying it served him right. So Zhang Wei was pissed and threw the chalk that he caught to her belly. She caught it and pretended to be injured, so the teacher called him out to visit him in the office after class. The pink girl was happy and gloating at Zhang Wei as he was called out. Then Zhang Wei wrote something on a piece of paper and passed it to the pink-haired girl. The girl didn't see what was inside, but just threw it to the floor. But after the class, when there was nobody left, she picked up the paper and was surprised as it was an invitation for going out together, Later, Jiang Wei and Ma Ka met Hai Shui Xing when they were having dinner. Jiang Wei was then told that she had a crush on him ever since he defeated her. Then Jiang Wei also found out that his friend Ma Ka was the second son of the King Kraus, and was a member of the royal family. After the break when class started again, Jiang was sleeping. Thus he earned the anger of the teacher again. Teacher then asked about the opposing energies of elements. So Jiang Wei said that every element can create its opposing element more or less. Water can negate fire, but can also create fire when reaches an extreme. He then demonstrated them, practically shocking everyone. Then Ma Ka praised his new skills and asked if he wanted to battle for the top 10 ranking of the academy. He also said that the top 1 guy, Hai Xing, was defeated and became second by the pink-haired girl called Mu Zimo. Jiang Wei was interested, so he started his challenge from the bottom of the top 10 rankings. So he went over to Feng Liang's dorm room and issued a challenge. Feng Liang accepted it, but his girlfriend was furious. The battle started with Feng Liangri attacking with his wind element, but was defended by magic shield of Jiang Wei. So he went all out and attacked Jiang Wei with his spirit beast. But Jiang Wei used his light element, which counterattacked his dark elemental beast, making Feng Liang cough blood and faint. Later, Ma Ka and Jiang Wei discussed the demons that Jiang Wei encountered at the border of the country. Ma Ka said that he would immediately inform his father king about this matter. Later, Jiang Wei was invited by the king to tell more about the demons. When talking with the king, Jiang Wei found out that due to King's declining health, he would be able to survive for at most few months, and so the 3 great families and the Duke family is eyeing his properties, and demons attacking this time is the worst thing that can happen. So the king sought help from the royal academies and told Jiang Wei to contact his master to gather some power to defend against the demons. So Jiang Wei went back and informed his master about these things. His master agreed and said that he would contact his friends and would seek help. The next day, Ma Ka brought the good news, which was that Dean Wen was able to gather 3 more powerhouses, and said that they would negotiate with the Duke and the 3 great families to defend unanimously against the demons. After that, he met Mu Zimo in the restaurant, and she asked to give her a treat. So Jiang Wei paid for her meals, which almost broke his pocket. And when in the dorm, he was thinking if his classmate Mu Zi was the same girl as the demon girl that he met previously. And the next day, Mu Zimo shamelessly came again and asked if he could give her a treat again. Jiang Wei denied but said that he would treat her only if she became his girlfriend. Mu Zimo reluctantly agreed to be his girlfriend temporarily. Then Hai Shui came and saw them together, and when she heard that Jiang Wei and Mu Zi got in a relationship, she became upset and left. Then Mu Zi called him a fool and said that she was upset because she liked him. Mu Zimo also told him to go after Hai Shui, but Jiang Wei said that he only liked her, which made her blush a bit. After the treatment, the fake couple visited some other places and came back to their respective dorms. In the dorm, he found out that after negotiating with the 3 elite clans, King and the 3 families settled on a competition where they would decide the next king. So the king would have to choose people to fight in the competition against the 3 elite families. He soon met the people that his master gathered for the competition. The dean and the vice dean of the Advanced Royal Magic Academy were among them. The group of deans then was shown Xiao Jin, which made them more confident in their win. They also tested Jiang Wei to see if he was worthy to be their teammate. And after that, Jiang Wei again faced harsh training from the old fogies. And soon, the day of the competition arrived. The competition was overseen by the high priest, who wielded massive power. Soon, the battle for the throne was initiated, and the matches were not group matches, but individual matches. In the first match, both parties called out their respective beasts, and the first win went to the king's party. Then Dean Laolin was matched against Weishan, but Lao Landi didn't have any magic beast but was still able to win. Unfortunately, this is where the chapters ended. Still waiting for the new chapters. Meanwhile, you can visit our Discord to see the name. Donate at Patreon. Your donation helps acquire the license for the artwork, so please donate to get access to more artists' artworks. Shout out to Dr. Daiji and Bart D for providing such good artwork for Alimentum Fiction, aka a fiction.